Hey there, this will be just 26 manga that I have read throughout the years or recently. I'll just be sharing my opinion about them. This is also sort of like a recommendation video if you see something you like. The descriptions to the manga I'll be saying are either going to be short or long depending on the series mostly, and depending on the manga I might do a dedicated video on some of them. Hope you enjoy, like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Alice in Borderland, a story that I recently finished reading. It's a series that surprised me a lot, a familiar genre to many that has a history of being attached to the word edgy. The death game genre, but surprisingly, the story of Alice in Borderland was written really good. I think it showcased the understanding of the weight, the value, and the purpose of life, explaining such a way that a reader can get immersed in the lives of these people, and it shows through its main character, and the experiences he undergoes in this manga, as well as the other perspectives of other characters that get introduced later. And the plot twist of this manga is something to be really surprised about. It's really good. Alongside the art style it fits so well, this manga makes you have an existential crisis. Beastars. If you're weirded out by anthropomorphic animals, you should still give Beastars a shot. It's basically a Zootopia story, but written much more thoroughly and delves much more deeper into the societal issue about the carnivore and herbivores, the discrimination and the differences between each race of animals. The manga is an incredible diverse of characters, all with their unique perspectives on the world they live in, added alongside some really wholesome moments that can help the tone of the story. Also, just a quick little side note, the author of Beastars is the daughter of the author of Baki, so it's pretty cool. Claymore, a series appropriately fan-named as Berserk's younger sister. It has the same vibes, but don't get it twisted. Claymore can easily stand on its own when discussing amazingly written dark fantasy stories, with its incredibly laid out world and phenomenal art that can rival even Berserk's depiction of insanely designed monsters. Claymore is an amazing manga to read if you're looking for that vibe that's the same as Berserk, but having its own unique twist on genre. But it's not perfect. It has some really loose plot points here and there, but still pretty good. Dan. This one's new. Another very crazy manga with very weird premises. You can't help but just enjoy the goofiness of the story. This is just a very enjoyable manga with crazy action scenes and really weird moments, but you get used to it, alongside with some crazy emotional backstory. I think it just goes to show the creativity one can have when working with other different authors. The creator of Dan was an assistant to the creator of Chainsaw Man, so if you're not fully convinced, I feel like that should do it. This manga is just a fun read with very likable characters, so get yourself to it. Also, the anime is great so far. Ice Shield 21, a sports manga all about American football. It's a fun and great read with sometimes questionable scenes, so be wary of that people may be surprised about, so a small disclaimer about that. Just overall a classic tournament style sports manga all about reaching number 1. Same artist of One Punch Man, so you know you won't get bored of the panels. And it's the type of sports manga that has absurd powers like Kuroko in a basket, so you know it's gonna be really good, really crazy. Fist of the North Star, one of the earliest popular mangas alongside like Dragon Ball that inspired other authors into creating their own manga. Heavily combat-centric action manga. It's a very masculine manga with very exaggerated ways of showcasing human bodies, but the art style complements the ideas so well. It's a manga that probably inspired like JoJo and like Baki, those like very big muscular guys with martial arts, with very crazy proportions and fights. The manga story isn't that convoluted. A powerful but very kind martial artist searches his own way of life. Read it if you like Baki or JoJo or just like this meme.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
Green Worlds, a post-apocalyptic world where society has been overtaken by man-eating plants and insects. This is for people who enjoy shonen type of stories. The premise being somewhat good, I would just say this is just an okay manga. It's an average end of the world type of scenario with characters that you would expect from this type of setting. So it does have some very generic tropes, very one-dimensional characters. The art's not bad, it definitely gets the job done. It has some moments where the art looks really good. Give this manga a try for what it's worth. I think its story is decent enough for anyone looking for these types of genre. It's not that long either, you can easily binge read it in one sitting. Horimiya. It's a really pleasant romance manga for anyone interested. It's a nice slow burn slice of life romance manga. The art of the manga is quite polished, the characters are well established with their own unique struggles and developments. It doesn't have the cliches that people tend to hate about the romance genre, and it shows a semi-realistic version of a relationship should be. It's a good manga for anyone just wants to have a relaxed and pleasant read. But unfortunately for me, during the later portions of the manga, so the story for me gets dragged out. The manga just played the story way too safe, where the characters don't really get enough development aside from the main characters, but they still get stagnant later on, which is fine, but most of the story beats just seemed like filler, where many of the plot lines and scenes became overused a lot of the times. It's still quite a pleasant manga if you're not someone who overly nitpicks stuff. I still highly recommend it as a romance manga. Innocent and innocent rogue, since it's basically just the same story. A manga based around 18th century France, during the time when the French Revolution was happening. If you're someone who enjoys history and likes very suspenseful stories, this is the type of manga for you. I know some of the story isn't exactly like the real French history, so forgive me any history people out there, but yeah, Innocent is based on French history. And like, the art of this manga is one of a kind. The realism that this manga shows is so gorgeous, to the point that I sometimes forget that I'm reading manga. It does an amazing job in portraying the dark and gritty atmosphere that this manga was going for. On a purely artistic point of view, this is among one of the greats alongside other historical related manga like Vagabond and Villain Saga. The plot for Innocent is the journey of someone being an executioner and living during those dark times and the experiences they have gone through. This is a very interesting manga. Breathtaking art and visual imagery with metaphors. Read this if you are looking for a very mature historical drama. Jagan, a compelling story with jam-packed amazing action scenes, with amazingly written characters with different ideologies clashing with one another on their perspectives in living in a new world that has given them a brand new opportunity to change their lives. You might see this manga at first glance, and at face value the story seems simple since it's all about these frogs giving people monster-like powers. It's kind of reminiscent of Parasite, so where the main character tries to kill everyone who was infected by these frogs. You might say that it has a simple premise, but it quickly branches off in many different directions that you would not expect. The story is brilliant in depicting how each individual is sometimes controlled by their desires. Each arc feels very different from each other, that tells different types of stories, all the while relating it to our main characters. The art of Jagan is very detailed and clean, making the action scenes much more enjoyable. I won't say anything more because I might create a separate video regarding this manga, so stay tuned for that. Kaguya-sama Love is War, a rom-com manga that I actually thoroughly enjoyed and consider it to be one of the best rom-com anime and manga in modern times. The characters are likable, the comedy scenes are actually funny, and the development of the story is quite fun to read through. The characters all have their own unique journeys that you can't just help but root for them in wanting them to succeed. The characters are all fleshed out, you get invested with each of their individual stories. The progression in its romance was well paced and it didn't feel dragged on because it understood the circumstances that each character had. This is a story I recommend to anyone even if you're not completely into the rom-com genre. I think it's a good introduction overall. Land of the Lustrous, a manga that I've only recently read and not know much about the story, so I can't exactly give a full-on opinion. But let me say this manga has some of the most unique art styles out there. It may not be super detailed, but the atmosphere this manga has is one of a kind. I am still only a few chapters in. So far I only know that these people are made of gems, are fighting against something that wants them to be turned into decorations, to jewels, since they're made out of gems. Like I said, I just started, so this is all I can say for now, but so far, it's really interesting. Maerimashita Iruma-kun. This unexpected isekai that is surprisingly really wholesome. This is quite an endearing series. I was always curious as to why this series never really became popular. This manga is a great cast. It has very clean art for its action scenes, and it always had something interesting going on. I'll give a quick rundown as to what this series is about. A hardworking Iruma gets sold to the devil by his abusive parents, so goes to the demon world, hence the isekai part. That's only the introduction, so I won't say anything more. Just read it. It's quite wholesome and also has some exceptionally cool moments as well. It is very complemented with the art. The manga somehow excels at both at the exploration of the value of greed as being a demon and as a light-hearted comedy, so you won't get bored of the story at all. The manga goes pretty deep in its philosophy, even though it sometimes can be simple, but it is effective. I really love this manga. Nisekoi. If I ever get the chance to, I might reread Nisekoi and make a video about it. That's how I highly enjoyed the manga, but I will give some of my quick thoughts about it. Many people see Nisekoi as another rom-com harem story with varying cliches that people expect, making it feel less unique compared to others. But Nisekoi showed me through its subtle storytelling what true love can really look like, and the way to appreciate different types of love even if they are not romantic. What we see as love, especially during our teen years, is that love in popular media is idealized. It is considered comfortable, it's pleasant, but Nisekoi showed that it's far from the truth, and it made a story that highlighted those important moments. This manga is something I think young teens should read, or those of a very skewed perception of love. It may not be accurate to our daily lives, but I hope you will appreciate what the story of this manga was trying to tell. Origin. Other mangas you might have already read something similar to it due to how simple the story can be, but it's amazing if you're looking for a fighting manga with great art, but also a hidden deep meaning with the story as you progress through reading. Basically a story of how artificial intelligent robots were created, but due to certain circumstances, the robot finds its way through life searching to have a proper life. It's a surprisingly hidden gem in manga that may look simple at first due to its action fight scenes, but it can get you thinking on your own objectives in life. The art of the manga is amazing. Almost every panel can be turned into a wallpaper. It is also the same creator of Dr. Stone, to add one more thing to this. So it's a great read overall. I highly recommend it. Platinum's End. I solely started reading this manga because this was done by the same author who made Death Note and Bakuman, and despite those two being very different genres, I very much so enjoyed my time with Death Note being the classic for its dramatic thriller mind games, and Bakuman with its deep dive into the world of manga artists and their journey to become one. These two are great mangas with very intriguing stories respectively, but I can't really say the same for Platinum's End, unfortunately. With philosophical themes being played here, you expect something deeper with the characters, but to me the characters definitely felt lacking in depth, where it feels like the characters are thrown in there for the sake of having a story. The manga feels like it's trying way too hard to be smart, like it's trying to be the successor of Death Note, yet it fails in all aspects. The art's a given if you probably already know what Death Note and Bakuman generally look like. This is probably the manga I'm the least interested in recommending to people, purely on the plot alone, but I think the concept is worth a shot if you fancy the supernatural aspects of the manga. Quintessential quintuplets. You didn't expect this one, huh? You may find this weird, but this is probably like one of the few harem manga that I consider to be one of the best ones out there. Like, this manga delivers well as a story by itself, even without the word harem attached to it. Based on title, obviously, this is a harem manga around 5 siblings who look alike. The love interests in this manga are all charming and likable in their respective ways. The characters are just generally nicely well written overall. There will be flaws within the manga, but not everything can be perfect. This is just an entertaining read with an actual conclusion that you get to see the choice of the protagonist and have a very good reason as to why this happened. And I was genuinely not able to determine which love interest was going to be chosen, because each and every one of them had their moments in the manga that felt like they all had an equal chance, since each sister felt so different from each other that you can't really see the outcome until you reach that point in the manga. And by the end of the story, no matter who was chosen, you will still be able to enjoy the rest of the manga, knowing that it will have a happy ending in some shape or form. So I highly recommend reading it still, even if you're not someone who is into this sort of stuff. I think it's a great introduction to the genre as a whole. Remina, or by the full name Hellstar Remina. So about that, horror manga by Junji Ito himself. Like, surprisingly, it's not really as weird as like other Junji Ito stories, but still definitely a really weird premise. So to explain, a scientist discovered a planet and decided to name the planet after his daughter soon after the planet was observed to be moving closer to Earth at a rapid speed, which in turn caused mass panic to the people, which led them to believe that the only solution in stopping the planet from coming any closer to the Earth is by killing the daughter with the same name of the planet. The story is quite short and the art is always impressive, but I never thought of Hellstar Remina to be scary. I thought it was just a really interesting premise with the setting of the story appears to be future Earth. It's an enjoyable read for sure. I think it's not the best of Junji Ito's works, but it's still really good. Summertime Rendering, a very engaging mystery thriller story. It has concepts that you're probably already familiar with, so in terms of its premise of using time travel and other parallel universe concept shenanigans, it's not that unique, but I think the mystery and the characters carry the story so much, with all of them being very distinct and likable, so you can find someone that you can sympathize with. The story starts off really strong with its very interesting plots involving doppelgangers and their origins that have yet to be revealed for the reader. The pacing, I think it's really well done. It does a great job in keeping the viewer hooked on the story because of new events and developments that keep happening. But as the story was revealing more and more of its mystery, I think the main issue that I didn't really like about it was the motive of the antagonist. That's all I can say for now, but due to other things, I can't really say the series that exceeded my expectations, but just gets the job done. It's a fairly 7 out of 10 story. Tokyo Ghoul, classic manga that most people recommend alongside Berserk. It's a manga that went through its ups and downs, but still a highly rated manga nonetheless. The story is iconic within the manga community, unlike the anime which totally sucked. I absolutely love this manga. I am biased towards it, even if some people seem to dislike it, since back when the anime aired, there were many problems with it, but I still highly recommend Tokyo Ghoul's manga. The story it's telling is really good, and the dilemma of the main character's arc when he is transformed into a ghoul and having to live as one, and showcasing the struggles of being a one-eyed monster, diving into the psyche of the characters and then understanding the reasoning behind their actions shows its great character development. And with both humans and ghouls, you can never really choose a side because you emphasize with both parties. Plus the art of the manga is amazing, so you can never go wrong with it. It started off strong, it ended on strong. I love this manga to death. Usagui. Not gonna lie, I don't really like gaming stories because I will honestly not read the rules of a particular game if it's really long, especially since I'm not gonna be playing these types of games anytime soon, or I'm not really gonna gamble. I just started reading Usagui, but I am enjoying my time with it. I think it does a great job in fleshing out each and every character. They feel like they are the protagonists of their own respective stories. I think the beginning started off as really slow, but I think I am at the part where the manga really becomes really interesting, even though the plot can become confusing and convoluted at times. It does it so where you can barely follow it, but still be able to enjoy the story and its mind games, with incredible art to go along with in its fights. So far, I am really enjoying it. Vagabond. Now, everyone who reads manga knows Vagabond, so this will be quick. It's one of the big three seinen alongside Berserk and Vinland Saga. It has astonishing art that you can get lost in, where you can literally be immersed with the story with just the art alone. This story is basically the journey of one's growth through a life full of battles. It has very similar themes with Vinland Saga, of someone who is very eager in engaging violent fights. Then through the experience and the people they meet, they go through a transformation of sorts of establishing their character development. This manga is by far one of the most beautiful manga out there, and it's able to show its themes and philosophy about life and self-reflection, having other different characters with their own perspectives and having that connection towards the protagonist and helping him broaden his own perspective. I truly love this manga, but I'm not planning on rereading this anytime soon because I really want to be at the point in my life where I can fully understand the protagonist's story. This manga is indeed unrivaled under the heavens. Otakoi. I don't know how to say that. Another romance manga. The story revolves around the struggles of someone in their love life, especially when they are someone who has very different interests compared to others. This is a sweet manga. I think it's overall a simple story of two tacos trying to get to know each other. It's not bad. I think I just kept reading the series just because I was curious of how the relationship goes, as well as other supporting characters that adds more to the story. I just like it as a mature romance with comedy elements. Unfortunately, I have not read any manga that starts with letter X, so recommend the ones that are good. Yotsubato. I might make a separate video about this manga just because of how much I love this manga and its wholesomeness. If you're someone who is very into action manga or someone who likes deep themes and gory art, this manga is not for you. It's a story of a young girl moving into a new house with her father, and we get to see and unfold the story. that's it. This manga is the fullest definition of slice of life, yet I can't help but enjoy this manga. The art style is simple, but it has a lot of charm into it. I always smile when I read this manga because this manga is so freaking wholesome and actually really funny a lot of the times, even though the scenarios are really simple. I really highly recommend this manga to the people who just want to relax and read a chill yet enjoyable manga. Finally, Zom 100. I first read this manga during the initial airing of the anime because I never actually read any manga that has a story that is very zombie centric. I think due to the fact that there was so many zombie themed media out there that I was not all that impressed with the manga, only until in recent chapters where the story seemed to pick up some steam, where it got a little serious, but during the earlier parts it definitely seemed to be primarily comedy focused. But I think for the most part it does well in its moments of comedy, but it's not a laugh out loud type of comedy like other mangas. It's an overall well done series. It's not that impressive, but it's not bad either. Sorry for ending on a somber note. Well, that has been 25 or so mangas that I have read. Sorry about the letter X again. Recommend me some pretty good ones out there. Anyways, it was really difficult for me on writing the script because some manga I haven't caught up with yet or finished reading, so this took a while along because of some other personal stuff that delayed this video. But I hope you enjoyed my list and hopefully you found a new manga in this video that you're willing to check it out. Thanks for watching this video and sticking with me. Like always, like, comment, and subscribe, all that good stuff. In the future I might make another video about this, maybe a part 2, because there's so many manga out there, so stay tuned for that. Peace out.